The November evening air carried a crisp bite as London's most prestigious theatre district buzzed with anticipation. The London Palladium stood illuminated against the darkening sky, its iconic facade glowing with warm golden light that spilled onto the busy streets below. Tonight was different from any ordinary performance night. Tonight was the Royal Variety Performance, one of Britain's most cherished entertainment traditions, and the entire entertainment industry had gathered to witness something truly special. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, adjusted the delicate clasp of her sapphire earrings as she gazed out the window of the official car. The jewelry had been a wedding gift from William's grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, and wearing them tonight felt like carrying a piece of royal history. Beside her, Prince William reviewed the evening's program one final time, his finger tracing down the list of performers who would grace the stage tonight. Jessie J is performing third, William mentioned, glancing up from the glossy program. I remember her performance at the Diamond Jubilee concert. Quite powerful voice. Catherine smiled, remembering that electrifying performance outside Buckingham Palace. The children love her music. Charlotte especially enjoys singing along to Price Tag when she thinks we're not listening. Their conversation was interrupted as their vehicle turned onto Argyle Street, where crowds had already begun gathering behind the safety barriers. Royal protection officers had coordinated with local police to ensure smooth passage, but even through the tinted windows, both William and Catherine could see the excited faces of royal watchers who had waited hours in the cold for just a glimpse of the arriving royalty. The Royal Variety Performance had been a tradition since 1912, originally conceived as a way to bring together the royal family and the entertainment world for charitable purposes. Over the decades, it had evolved into Britain's most prestigious entertainment event, with proceeds supporting the Royal Variety Charity, which helps entertainers in need. Tonight's show promised to be particularly memorable, featuring a diverse lineup that represented the very best of contemporary British and international talent. Inside the theater, final preparations were reaching fever pitch. Stage technicians made last-minute adjustments to lighting rigs, while sound engineers conducted final audio checks. The backstage area hummed with nervous energy as performers prepared for what many considered the most important performance of their careers. For many artists, performing before royalty represented the pinnacle of recognition within the entertainment industry. Jessie J stood in her designated dressing room, surrounded by her styling team as they put finishing touches on her outfit for the evening. The black sequin dress had been specially designed for this performance, with intricate beadwork that would catch the stage lights perfectly. Her makeup artist applied the final touches of dramatic eyeliner, while her vocal coach ran through warm-up exercises nearby. Remember to project to the back row, her vocal coach reminded her gently. The Palladium has incredible acoustics, but tonight you're performing for history. The weight of that statement wasn't lost on Jessie. She had performed on countless stages around the world, from intimate venues to massive stadiums, but tonight felt different. Tonight, she would be performing not just for the audience in the theater, but for the Prince and Princess of Wales, representing a tradition that connected her to generations of performers who had stood on this same stage. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her mother. "So proud of you tonight, sweetheart. Sing your heart out." The simple words brought tears to her eyes, threatening to smudge her carefully applied makeup. Her journey to this moment had been filled with challenges, rejections, and moments of doubt, but tonight represented validation of all those years of hard work and perseverance. Meanwhile, in the royal box, final preparations were being made for the arrival of William and Catherine. The box had been decorated with fresh flowers, and champagne had been chilled to the perfect temperature. Royal household staff moved with practiced efficiency, ensuring every detail met the exacting standards required for such occasions. The theater's general manager, James Morrison, walked through the venue one final time, his experienced eye checking every detail. The red carpet had been vacuumed to perfection, the brass fixtures polished until they gleamed, and every seat had been checked and double-checked. This was his 15th Royal Variety performance, but the nerves never completely disappeared. Places everyone came the announcement over the theater's internal communication system. Royal arrival in 10 minutes. The excitement in the air was almost tangible as performers, crew members, and front-of-house staff took their positions. Outside, the crowd had grown larger, with royal enthusiasts holding small Union Jack flags and camera phones at the ready. The sound of approaching sirens indicated that the royal convoy was making its final approach to the theater. Catherine took a deep breath as their car slowed to a stop outside the main entrance. Through the window, she could see the red carpet leading into the theater, flanked by photographers and reporters from major news outlets around the world. The flashbulbs were already beginning to pop, even though they hadn't yet emerged from the vehicle. "Ready?" William asked, reaching over to squeeze her hand gently. "Always," she replied with a smile that had become familiar to millions around the world. The car door opened, and the couple stepped out into the cool London evening. The crowd erupted in cheers and applause, with voices calling out Catherine and William from behind the barriers. The princess waved gracefully, her emerald green dress moving elegantly as she walked. The color had been chosen specifically to photograph well under the bright lights, and the designer had incorporated subtle royal symbols into the intricate embroidery. As they made their way up the red carpet, stopping to speak with reporters and theater officials, neither William nor Catherine could have anticipated the profound impact this evening would have on everyone involved. The royal variety performance had always been about bringing together different worlds, royalty and entertainment, tradition and innovation, formality and creativity. But tonight's show would create connections that would resonate far beyond the final curtain call. Inside the theater, Jessie J could hear the roar of the crowd outside, indicating that the royal couple had arrived. She closed her eyes and took a series of deep, calming breaths, a technique she had learned early in her career to manage pre-performance anxiety. Her band members were also preparing in their own ways. Her guitarist was running through the intricate fingering of their opening number, while her drummer was stretching his wrists and checking his stick grip. The song she had chosen for tonight's performance was deeply personal. Who You Are had been written during a particularly challenging period in her life, when she was struggling with self-doubt and industry pressures. The lyrics spoke to themes of authenticity and staying true to oneself, messages that felt particularly relevant in the context of performing before royalty and a global television audience. Her stylist made one final adjustment to her dress, ensuring the sequins lay perfectly flat. "You look absolutely stunning," she said, stepping back to admire her work. "This is your moment, Jessie. Enjoy every second of it." Through the theater's internal monitors, they could watch as William and Catherine made their way through the lobby, greeting theater officials and representatives from the Royal Variety Charity. The couple moved with the practiced ease of experienced royals, making each person they met feel valued and appreciated despite the tight schedule and formal protocol surrounding their every move. The theater's orchestra, led by renowned conductor Michael Reed, was already in position. They had spent weeks rehearsing the musical arrangements for each act, ensuring seamless transitions between performances. Tonight's show would feature not just individual performances, but also collaborative numbers that would bring together artists from different genres and backgrounds. As William and Catherine entered the royal box, the entire audience rose to their feet in a gesture of respect and welcome. The couple acknowledged the standing ovation with gracious waves before taking their seats. The lighting in the theater dimmed slightly, creating an intimate atmosphere despite the grandeur of the venue. From her position in the wings, Jessie J watched the monitors showing the royal box. She had met members of the royal family before, but tonight felt different. Tonight, she would have the opportunity to share her music with them in an intimate setting, to connect through the universal language of song and emotion. The show's host, renowned comedian and actor David Walliams, took the stage to thunderous applause. His opening monologue would set the tone for the entire evening, balancing humor with the appropriate level of respect for the occasion and the distinguished guests in attendance. "Your Royal Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, Williams began, his voice carrying clearly throughout the theater. "Welcome to the Royal Variety Performance 2023, where tonight we celebrate the very best of British and international entertainment." The audience applauded enthusiastically, and in the royal box, both William and Catherine clapped along, their faces showing genuine anticipation for the performances to come. They had attended many such events over the years, but each one brought its own unique energy and surprises. As the first act took the stage, a magnificent ballet performance by the Royal Opera House, the evening's magic began to unfold. The dancers moved with breathtaking precision and grace, their movements telling stories without words, their artistry representing years of dedication and training. Watching from the wings, Jessie J felt her nervousness begin to transform into excitement. This was why she had become a performer. For moments like these, when art and emotion combined to create something larger than the sum of its parts. Tonight, she would add her own voice to this tradition, contributing her own chapter to the ongoing story of the Royal Variety performance. The ballet concluded to rapturous applause, and as the dancers took their bows, Jessie J knew her moment was approaching. Her heart rate quickened, but it was the good kind of nervousness, the kind that sharpened focus and heightened awareness. She had performed for millions of people around the world, but tonight felt like a homecoming, a celebration of British talent and tradition. In the royal box, Catherine leaned over to William and whispered, "The choreography was absolutely beautiful. You can see years of training in every movement." William nodded in agreement, his appreciation for the artistry evident in his expression. Both he and Catherine had long been supporters of the arts, understanding the vital role that creative expression played in society and culture. As the stage was reset for the next performance, the anticipation in the theater continued to build. Tonight was about more than just entertainment. It was about connection, tradition, and the power of performance to bring people together across all boundaries and differences. The second act of the evening featured a comedy duo whose razor-sharp wit and perfect timing had the entire audience in stitches within minutes of taking the stage. Even the royal box, both William and Catherine were laughing heartily, their genuine enjoyment evident to everyone in the theater. The comedians had crafted their routines specifically for this audience, weaving in gentle, respectful humor about royal life, while maintaining the sophisticated edge that had made them household names. Backstage, Jessie J watched the performance on the monitors while her sound technician conducted final microphone checks. The wireless pack felt familiar against her back, and she tested the earpiece that would allow her to hear the orchestra clearly during her performance. These technical details had become second nature over the years, but tonight she paid extra attention to each element, knowing that this performance would be recorded and broadcast to millions of viewers worldwide. Her vocal warm-up routine was thorough and methodical. She started with gentle humming, gradually working up to fuller vocal exercises that stretched her range and prepared her voice for the demands of live performance. The song she would be performing required both power and delicacy, moments of thunderous intensity followed by passages of intimate vulnerability. "Jessie, you're up after the next act," the stage manager informed her, his headset crackling with constant communication from various departments throughout the theater. "The prince and princess are really enjoying the show so far." She nodded, feeling a flutter of excitement mixed with the familiar pre-performance energy that had become her constant companion over the years. Through the curtains, she could hear the audience's response to the comedy act, their laughter rolling through the theater like waves. In the royal box, Catherine was thoroughly enjoying the evening's entertainment. She had always appreciated live performance, understanding the unique energy that existed between performers and their audience. Growing up, she had participated in school productions and maintained her love for theater throughout her adult life. Watching tonight's performers, she was reminded of the incredible talent that existed within the British entertainment industry. William, meanwhile, was particularly impressed by the production values of the show. The lighting design was spectacular, with each act receiving a completely different visual treatment that enhanced their individual performances while maintaining the overall elegance of the evening. The seamless transitions between acts spoke to months of careful planning and rehearsal. The comedy duo concluded their set to thunderous applause, taking several bows before exiting the stage. As they walked past Jessie J in the wings, they offered encouraging smiles and thumbs-up gestures. The camaraderie among performers was one of the aspects she loved most about live theater. Despite being competitors in the broader entertainment industry, tonight they were all part of the same magical experience. David Walliams returned to the stage to introduce the next act, his warm demeanor helping to maintain the evening's momentum. "Ladies and gentlemen, your royal highnesses," he announced. "We now move from laughter to music with one of Britain's most powerful voices. Please welcome the incomparable Jessie J." The audience erupted in applause as the lights dimmed, and the orchestra began the opening strains of Who You Are. Jessie J took a deep breath, said a quick prayer, and walked onto the stage with the confidence that comes from years of professional performance. The spotlight hit her as she reached center stage, and for a moment, she was briefly dazzled by the intensity of the light. But her years of experience kicked in immediately, and she found her mark, smiled at the audience, and prepared to pour her heart into the song that had become so meaningful to her. In the royal box, both William and Catherine sat forward slightly, their attention completely focused on the figure illuminated on the stage below. They had heard Jessie J's recordings, but live performance always revealed new dimensions to an artist's capabilities. The opening notes flowed from her lips with crystal clarity, each word perfectly enunciated and filled with emotion. The song's message about staying true to oneself resonated throughout the theater, and Jessie J's delivery was nothing short of mesmerizing. Her voice soared through the upper registers with ease, then dropped to intimate whispers that somehow still carried to the very back of the theater. As she sang, Jessie J made eye contact with various sections of the audience, a technique that created personal connections even in such a large venue. When she looked toward the royal box, she was struck by how intently both William and Catherine were listening, their faces showing genuine appreciation for the artistry they were witnessing. The orchestra, under Michael Reed's expert direction, provided the perfect accompaniment to Jessie J's vocals. The arrangements had been specifically adapted for this performance, incorporating subtle variations that highlighted different aspects of the melody while supporting the emotional journey of the lyrics. Catherine found herself deeply moved by the performance. The song's themes of authenticity and self-acceptance resonated with her own experiences in public life, where maintaining one's true self while fulfilling royal duties required constant balance and inner strength. She could see that Jessie J was not just performing the song, but living it, channeling personal experience into every phrase. William was equally impressed by the technical mastery on display. Jessie J's breath control was exceptional, allowing her to sustain long phrases without sacrificing emotional intensity. Her stage presence was commanding yet accessible, creating an intimate connection with the audience despite the grandeur of the venue. As the song built toward its climactic moments, Jessie J's voice filled every corner of the theater with stunning power. The high notes seemed to hang in the air, crystalline and pure, while the orchestra swelled beneath her. The entire audience was completely silent, absorbed in the magic of the moment. The final notes of the song faded into silence, and for a heartbeat, the theater remained completely still. Then the applause began, starting slowly but quickly building into a thunderous ovation. The audience rose to their feet as one, their appreciation evident in the sustained clapping and calls of bravo. In the royal box, both William and Catherine were on their feet, applauding enthusiastically. Catherine's face showed clear emotion. The performance had genuinely moved her, and her applause was heartfelt and sustained. William's appreciation was equally evident, his usual reserved demeanor giving way to obvious admiration for what he had just witnessed. Jessie J stood center stage, visibly emotional as she absorbed the audience's response. She had performed for countless audiences around the world, but this moment felt particularly special. She curtsied gracefully toward the royal box, a gesture that was both traditional and deeply felt. William and Catherine acknowledged her courtesy with warm smiles and continued applause. As she walked off stage, Jessie J felt a sense of completion that went beyond professional satisfaction. She had given everything to that performance, holding nothing back, and the audience's response confirmed that her emotions had been shared and understood. Backstage, she was immediately surrounded by congratulations from fellow performers and crew members. Her styling team was waiting with water and tissues, understanding that such emotionally intense performances could be physically and emotionally draining. "That was absolutely incredible," her manager said, embracing her warmly. The audience was completely captivated. I could see people in tears throughout the theater. Through the backstage monitors, they could watch as David Walliams returned to the stage to continue the show. But the impact of Jessie J's performance continued to resonate throughout the theater. In the royal box, William and Catherine were still discussing what they had just witnessed. "Her voice is even more powerful in person than on recordings," Catherine observed, "and the emotion she brought to those lyrics was extraordinary." William nodded in agreement. You could feel the authenticity of her performance. That's not something that can be manufactured or taught. It comes from genuine experience and artistic integrity. Their conversation was interrupted as the next act took the stage, a spectacular dance troupe whose high-energy routine provided a perfect contrast to the intimate power of Jessie J's performance. The variety of the evening's entertainment was one of its greatest strengths, ensuring that every member of the audience would find performances that resonated with their particular tastes and interests. As the show continued, Jessie J remained backstage, watching the other performances and slowly coming down from the emotional high of her own set. She had changed out of her performance dress and into more comfortable clothes, but the satisfaction of a successful performance remained with her. The royal variety performance tradition meant that all performers would have the opportunity to meet the royal guests after the show concluded. This prospect both excited and intimidated Jessie J. While she had met royalty before at various functions, the context of tonight's meeting felt different. She had just shared something deeply personal through her music, and the idea of discussing that experience face-to-face with William and Catherine felt both thrilling and nerve-wracking. Meanwhile, the show continued with a magnificent display of British talent. A young magician whose innovative illusions had captivated television audiences brought his artistry to the live stage, followed by a classical musician whose virtuoso performance demonstrated the breadth of talent represented in the evening's lineup. Each act was building toward the grand finale, where all performers would return to the stage for a collaborative number that celebrated the diversity and excellence of British entertainment. But, for now, the individual performances continued to showcase the unique talents that had earned each artist their place in this prestigious lineup. In the royal box, William and Catherine continued to enjoy every moment of the show. Their genuine appreciation for the arts was evident in their focused attention and enthusiastic applause for each performance. They understood that their presence at events like this provided vital support for the entertainment industry and the charitable causes it supported. As the evening progressed toward its conclusion, anticipation began building for the post-show meet and greet, where the worlds of royalty and entertainment would come together in a more intimate setting, allowing for personal connections that went beyond the formal structure of the performance itself. The final acts of the royal variety performance unfolded with magnificent precision, each performer bringing their unique artistry to the historic stage. A renowned opera singer delivered an aria that showcased the classical traditions that had long been part of British culture, her voice soaring through the theater with technical perfection that left the audience breathless. Following her, a contemporary dance company performed a piece that represented the cutting edge of choreographic innovation, their movements telling stories of modern life with grace and athletic precision. Throughout these performances, Jessie J remained backstage with the other artists who had already completed their sets. The green room had been transformed into a comfortable waiting area where performers could relax, hydrate, and prepare for the post-show reception. Despite having finished her own performance, she found herself still energized by the adrenaline of live performance and deeply moved by watching her fellow artists on the monitors. "Your performance was absolutely stunning," said the opera singer as she joined the group backstage, still glowing from her own successful performance. "I was watching from the wings, and the emotion you brought to that song was extraordinary." The royal box was completely captivated. These words of encouragement from a fellow performer meant more to Jessie J than any review or critique could. The mutual respect and support among artists was one of the aspects she treasured most about events like the Royal Variety Performance, where competition gave way to celebration of shared artistry. In the royal box, William and Catherine were experiencing the full spectrum of British entertainment excellence. Catherine had been particularly moved by the opera performance, her own appreciation for classical music evident in her rapt attention during the aria. William, meanwhile, had been fascinated by the technical innovation displayed by the dance company, their use of projection technology and unconventional staging creating a truly immersive experience. "The range of talent tonight has been extraordinary," Catherine whispered to William during a brief transition between acts. "Each performance has been completely different, yet they all represent the highest level of artistic achievement." William nodded, his own appreciation evident. "And the production values have been exceptional. You can see the months of preparation that went into coordinating all these different elements seamlessly." As the individual performances concluded, David Walliams returned to the stage for the final time as host, his energy still high despite the long evening. "Ladies and gentlemen, your royal highnesses," he announced with a broad smile, "we now come to the grand finale of this year's Royal Variety Performance. Please welcome back all of tonight's incredible performers for a special collaborative number celebrating the unity and diversity of British entertainment." The orchestra began a specially arranged medley that incorporated musical elements from each act performed during the evening. One by one, all the performers returned to the stage, each taking their designated position for the finale number. Jessie J walked back into the spotlight, feeling a renewed surge of excitement as she joined her fellow artists. The collaboration was a masterpiece of musical arrangement and choreographic coordination. The opera singer's classical training blended seamlessly with contemporary voices, while the dancers provided visual storytelling that enhanced the musical narrative. Jessie J found herself harmonizing with artists from completely different musical traditions, their voices combining to create something larger than any individual performance. Catherine was visibly moved by the finale, recognizing it as a perfect metaphor for the diversity and unity that characterized modern Britain. Artists from different backgrounds, generations, and musical traditions had come together to create something beautiful and cohesive, each contributing their unique strengths while supporting the collective effort. The final notes of the medley rang through the theater, followed by what seemed like an endless standing ovation. The audience's enthusiasm was infectious, with cheers and applause continuing for several minutes as the performers took bow after bow. In the royal box, both William and Catherine were on their feet, their applause heartfelt and sustained. As the curtain finally fell and the house lights came up, the performers began making their way backstage to prepare for the most anticipated part of the evening, the royal meet and greet. This tradition allowed members of the royal family to personally thank the artists and engage in more intimate conversations about their craft and careers. The theater's elegant reception room had been prepared for this purpose, with champagne and light refreshments arranged throughout the space. The room's historic photographs and memorabilia created an atmosphere that celebrated the long tradition of British entertainment, providing the perfect backdrop for the evening's concluding ceremonies. Jessie J took a few moments to freshen up and change into an elegant cocktail dress that was appropriate for meeting royalty. Her styling team ensured that her hair and makeup were perfect, understanding that photographs from this meeting would likely appear in newspapers and magazines around the world. Remember to wait for them to extend their hand first. Her publicist reminded her gently, reviewing the basic protocol for meeting members of the royal family. And let them guide the conversation. They're both very easy to talk with, so just be yourself. These reminders were helpful, but Jessie J felt surprisingly calm about the upcoming meeting. The shared experience of the evening's performance had created a connection that transcended formal protocol. She had performed her heart out for William and Catherine, and their enthusiastic response had already communicated their appreciation more clearly than any words could. The performers gathered in the reception room, creating an atmosphere of excited anticipation mixed with post-performance exhaustion. Everyone looked elegant and polished, but there was also an air of relaxed camaraderie that came from having shared such a special evening together. When William and Catherine entered the reception room, the atmosphere immediately became more formal, but both royals worked to maintain the warm, celebratory mood that had characterized the entire evening. They were accompanied by their private secretaries and protection officers, but their demeanor remained approachable and genuine. Catherine had changed into a stunning navy blue dress that was both elegant and appropriate for the late evening occasion. Her jewelry was subtle but beautiful, and her entire appearance radiated the effortless sophistication that had become her signature style. William looked distinguished in his formal evening wear, his manner relaxed and friendly despite the formal setting. They began working their way through the room, spending time with each performer to personally thank them and discuss their performance. Their approach was methodical but never rushed. Each artist received their full attention and genuine engagement. When they reached Jessie J, both William and Catherine's faces lit up with genuine warmth and appreciation. Catherine was the first to speak, her voice filled with emotion as she said, "Your performance tonight was absolutely extraordinary. The passion and authenticity you brought to that song was deeply moving. Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness," Jessie J replied, executing a graceful curtsy before continuing. "It means the world to hear that from you. Performing here tonight in this historic theater for this audience, it's been one of the most meaningful experiences of my career." William stepped forward, his own appreciation evident in his expression. "The power of your voice is remarkable, but it was the emotional honesty of your performance that was truly special. You could feel the personal connection you have with that song." Their conversation continued for several minutes, with William and Catherine asking thoughtful questions about Jessie J's creative process and her experience performing for different types of audiences around the world. Their genuine curiosity and knowledge about the entertainment industry was impressive, and Jessie J found herself relaxing into what felt like a natural conversation between fellow professionals. Catherine was particularly interested in hearing about Jessie J's songwriting process and how she balanced personal expression with the demands of commercial appeal. "It must require tremendous courage to share something so personal with such large audiences," she observed. "How do you maintain that emotional connection night after night?" This question clearly came from Catherine's own experience of maintaining authenticity while fulfilling public duties, and Jessie J recognized the common ground they share despite their very different roles in public life. "I think it comes down to remembering why you started performing in the first place," Jessie J replied thoughtfully. "For me, it's always been about connecting with people, about sharing emotions and experiences that we all have in common. Tonight, performing for you and this audience, that connection felt stronger than ever." William was interested in the technical aspects of her performance, asking about her collaboration with the orchestra and how she adapted her usual arrangements for tonight's special context. His questions demonstrated a genuine appreciation for the craft and professionalism required for such high-level performances. As their conversation continued, other performers and guests in the room couldn't help but notice the warmth and engagement of the royal couple's interaction with Jessie J. It was clear that this wasn't just polite royal duty. William and Catherine were genuinely enjoying their conversation and were impressed by what they had witnessed tonight. The evening's photographer captured several beautiful images of their meeting, including moments of genuine laughter and animated discussion. These photographs would later become treasured memories for Jessie J and would appear in numerous publications documenting the evening's success. As their time together drew to a natural conclusion, Catherine took Jessie J's hand warmly and said, "Thank you again for such a beautiful performance. Your voice is truly a gift, and sharing it with us tonight was something we'll always remember." William added his own thanks, saying, "Events like this remind us why the arts are so important to our culture. Your performance exemplified the very best of British talent, and we're grateful for the opportunity to experience it firsthand." As William and Catherine moved on to meet with other performers, Jessie J felt a deep sense of satisfaction and completion. The evening had exceeded her highest expectations, providing not just professional validation, but also meaningful personal connections that would stay with her long after the theater lights had dimmed. The royal reception continued with the same warmth and genuine engagement that had characterized William and Catherine's meeting with Jessie J. Throughout the elegant room, conversations flowed naturally as the royal couple moved from performer to performer, creating personal connections that went far beyond mere protocol. The opera singer shared stories about her international career and her hopes for bringing classical music to younger audiences. The comedy duo discussed their creative partnership and their experiences performing for different cultural audiences around the world. Catherine found herself particularly drawn to conversations about the creative process and the challenges facing artists in the modern entertainment landscape. Her questions were thoughtful and well-informed, demonstrating her genuine interest in understanding the artistic journey rather than simply making polite conversation. When speaking with the young magician, she was fascinated to learn about how traditional illusion techniques were being combined with modern technology to create entirely new forms of magical entertainment. William, meanwhile, was engaging the dance company in discussions about the physical demands of their art form and the training required to achieve such technical precision. His own athletic background gave him a particular appreciation for the dedication and discipline required to excel at the highest levels of physical performance. The dancers were impressed by his knowledge of sports science and training methodology, finding unexpected common ground despite their different professional worlds. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere in the reception room became increasingly relaxed and convivial. The formal barriers that might typically exist between royalty and entertainers seemed to dissolve in the shared celebration of artistic achievement. Performers found themselves discussing everything from the technical challenges of live performance to their hopes for future creative projects. Jessie J spent much of the reception time connecting with her fellow performers, exchanging contact information, and discussing potential future collaborations. The shared experience of performing at the Royal Variety Performance had created bonds that often lasted for years beyond the event itself. These professional relationships frequently led to exciting creative partnerships and mutual support throughout their careers. "Tonight has been absolutely magical," she said to the opera singer as they stood together near the elegant windows overlooking the London streets. "There's something special about performing in front of people who truly understand and appreciate what we do." The opera singer nodded enthusiastically, and the way their royal highnesses engaged with each of us was extraordinary. You could tell they weren't just going through the motions. They were genuinely interested in our work and our experiences. Through the reception room's tall windows, they could see that crowds were still gathered outside the theater, hoping to catch a glimpse of the performers and royal guests as they departed. The evening had clearly captured the public imagination, with social media already buzzing with clips and photographs from the performance. Meanwhile, representatives from the Royal Variety Charity were discussing the evening's fundraising success with theater officials and royal household staff. The combination of ticket sales, corporate sponsorship, and donations generated during the broadcast would provide significant support for entertainers in need throughout the coming year. This charitable purpose gave additional meaning to the evening's celebrations, knowing that the entertainment was serving a greater purpose. Catherine took a few moments to speak privately with the charity's director, expressing her appreciation for the organization's work and asking detailed questions about how the funds were distributed to those in need. Her commitment to charitable causes was well known, but her genuine engagement with the practical aspects of the charity's operations demonstrated the depth of her concern for the entertainment community. The entertainment industry can be unpredictable, the charity director explained, and many performers face periods of financial hardship through no fault of their own. The funds raised tonight will help provide emergency assistance, healthcare support, and career development opportunities for entertainers at all stages of their careers. William was equally engaged in understanding the broader impact of the evening's events. He spoke with television producers about the global reach of the Royal Variety Performance broadcast, learning about how the show was adapted for different international audiences while maintaining its essentially British character. The show reaches over 200 million viewers worldwide, one producer explained, which makes it one of the most watched British entertainment exports. It really showcases the diversity and excellence of our creative industries to a global audience. As the reception gradually began to wind down, there was a palpable sense that something truly special had occurred. The combination of exceptional performances, genuine royal engagement, and successful charitable fundraising had created an evening that would be remembered by everyone involved. Jessie J found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her to this moment. From her early days performing in small venues to international stardom, and now to this pinnacle of British entertainment recognition, each step had required persistence, growth, and unwavering commitment to her artistic vision. Tonight represented not just personal achievement, but also validation of the path she had chosen and the authenticity she had fought to maintain throughout her career. The photographers had captured hundreds of images throughout the evening, documenting both the formal performance moments and the more relaxed interactions during the reception. These photographs would become part of the historical record of the Royal Variety performance, preserving memories that would be treasured by performers and fans alike. As William and Catherine prepared to depart, they made sure to offer personal thanks to key members of the production team who had worked behind the scenes to make the evening possible. Their recognition of the technical crews, stage managers, and administrative staff demonstrated their understanding that great events require the coordination of many talented individuals working together toward a common goal. "Tonight has been absolutely wonderful," Catherine said to the theater's general manager as they prepared for their formal departure. "The professionalism and artistry we've witnessed tonight represents the very best of British entertainment, and we're grateful for the opportunity to be part of this tradition." William added his own appreciation, saying, "Events like this remind us why the arts are so vital to our cultural life. The performers tonight didn't just entertain us. They moved us, challenged us, and brought us together through the power of their artistry." Their final goodbye to the assembled performers was warm and heartfelt, with promises to continue following their careers with interest. For many of the artists present, this royal recognition would become a highlight that they would treasure throughout their professional lives. As the royal couple departed, returning to their official vehicle for the journey back to their residence, the performers began their own departures from the theater. Many would be continuing the celebration at private parties and gatherings, extending the evening's magic well into the early morning hours. Jessie J chose to take a few quiet moments alone in the now empty theater before departing. Standing on the stage where she had delivered such a powerful performance just hours earlier, she felt a profound sense of gratitude for the opportunities that had led to this moment. The theater, with its rich history of hosting legendary performances, seemed to hold the echoes of all the artists who had stood on this same stage over the decades. Her phone was buzzing with congratulatory messages from friends, family, and professional colleagues around the world who had watched the broadcast. The performance was already being praised in early online reviews, with critics noting the emotional power and technical excellence she had brought to the evening. But beyond the professional accolades and public recognition, what would stay with her most was the personal connection she had felt with the audience and with William and Catherine. In an industry that could sometimes feel artificial or commercialized, tonight had reminded her of the pure power of authentic artistic expression to create genuine human connections. As she finally left the theater and stepped into the cool London night, Jessie J carried with her not just memories of a successful performance, but also a renewed sense of purpose and appreciation for her role as an artist. The Royal Variety performance had provided more than just a prestigious platform for her music. It had reaffirmed her belief in the transformative power of live performance and the importance of staying true to her artistic vision. The evening's legacy would extend far beyond the immediate participants. Television viewers around the world had witnessed an exceptional celebration of British entertainment, while the charitable funds raised would provide practical support for entertainers in need throughout the coming year. Most importantly, the connections forged between the royal family and the artistic community would continue to provide mutual inspiration and support for years to come. In the weeks and months that followed, all participants would look back on this evening as a defining moment in their careers and personal lives. The Royal Variety performance had once again fulfilled its historic mission of bringing together the worlds of royalty and entertainment, creating magic that transcended social boundaries and celebrated the very best of human creative achievement.